What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to show you how to reprogram your subconscious mind so that you can achieve whatever you want, whether that's making more money, getting better at golf, getting better at fishing, whatever you like to do, you can do it once you master your subconscious. And to do this, we're going to leverage a evolutionary trait that every single human being is born with. It's going to be really interesting. If that interests you, sit tight. I love researching about the subconscious mind. But unfortunately for me, it's not like other major sciences like biology or physics or psychology or mathematics, where there's a plethora of textbooks that you can just dive deep into. There really aren't even that many books on the subconscious mind, so you have to look into rather strange rabbit holes yourself and see what you can find. One of these more odd rabbit holes I've been looking into is a mental illness called dissociative identity disorder. DID, also known as multiple personality disorder. You might have seen the movie Split, which is a rather extreme, exaggerated representation of this mental illness, where the guy was like climbing on walls and shit like Spider-Man. Obviously, that's not true. That doesn't happen in real life, well, not that I'm aware of. But the general premise is correct. These people that have DID claim that they have 13 or 14 or 17 different people living inside of them. So it's kind of like conjoined twins or Siamese twins, how they have two people sharing the same body. This is a case where there's one body, but there's multiple individuals living inside of them. People with DID claim that they can go co-conscious. So let's say they're driving a car, something happens which triggers a particular alter to take over, alter meaning a different personality, different identity, and then someone else is now driving the car and they might be able to watch what's happening or hear what's happening. They don't have full conscious awareness, and later on they can come back in. Or something else happens, they're at the shopping center and they get accused of stealing something, they get frightened, and then another alter comes in and maybe they're fully unconscious in this particular scenario and they don't remember what happens afterwards. So it could be a rather scary thing for these people because they feel like they're not fully in control. So the interesting thing about DID is that it typically happens to people who have endured a lot of trauma before the ages of, let's say, 5 or 6. So during early childhood. Now this could be physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, really horrific stuff that no human should have to endure. These people go through it, and to ensure they survive, their minds basically create a different identity to deal with it. That's why a lot of these people, they repress these things that happen to them. They don't remember it until later on in life when they go to a psychiatrist or whatever, and these deep repressed memories can come out. They can be like, oh wow, this happened to me. So the mind actually creates a different identity to deal with traumatic situations. So that's what DID is like. Obviously, I can't explain as well as someone who actually has it. There's lots of videos on YouTube where people explain exactly what it's like to have this particular mental illness. But this is very interesting because I feel like we all have some aspect of this. Now, DID is the extreme case where this particular identity can take over entirely for periods at a time and you have no control. But we too create sorts of different identities that help us survive in this world. And I had this realization when I called a friend of mine who I hadn't spoken to in a couple of months. You see, we're in Sydney, Australia, and we're in lockdowns right now. So for the past 3 or so months, I've just been at the apartment with the girlfriend, not really talking to too many people because people are scared. You can't walk further than 5 kilometers because of some stupid regulations. But whatever, it's besides the point. I hadn't talked to this friend in over 3 months, and when I started talking to him, I realized that my voice changed a bit. The way I was pronouncing words changed a bit. My articulation, the, cadence of how I was saying things was different. The jokes I was saying, it's almost like I was a different person. And I realized what was happening was I was becoming the version of me that's consistent with my interactions with this particular friend. Right? When you are with your friends, you are almost like a different version of you. Maybe you're more laid back. Perhaps you swear more. Perhaps you're not so serious. When you're with your parents, you have the more respectable version of yourself. You put it down, the swearing. You're more respectable. You're telling them about how business is going, how school's going, or whatnot. When you're with your girlfriend or your partner, maybe you have another version of you that's slightly different, maybe softer, maybe you crack more jokes, you're more vulnerable. When you're with your colleagues at work, another version yet again. There's certain things that you can say to your friends you can't say to your colleagues. We all know this. And if I was to film you throughout your life, through the different scenes, and I was to play back the videos, you might see 7 different people, kind of like the person with DID. Now you see the person with DID has to transform themselves into these different alters or allow these alters to take over because it helps them cope with the trauma. It helps them cope with particular triggers. You also have to change yourself into these different personalities to fit in with the group. Because if you don't fit in with the group, the evolutionary pressure or the evolutionary threat is that you might get kicked out. You might get exiled. Remember, evolution is very slow. Evolution is very slow. Technology advances very quickly. Your brain's basically the same as the brain of some cave dweller or some caveman from 200,000 years ago. It hasn't changed that much. It hasn't had time to evolve. It's just the technology that's changing. So although the threats are not imminent, the threats are not as insane, our brains still take particular situations in the same light. Rejection is so painful because we still are thinking that if I'm rejected, I'm getting kicked out of the group. So to adapt to this, we change ourselves to fit in. That's why so many people are followers. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be a sheep until you get your head chopped off at the block. But in most cases, it's good for evolution. It's good for survival. So when you join a new social group or a new workplace and the culture is different, you have to adapt very quickly. Otherwise, you're not going to fit in, you're going to get fired, you're going to get removed, and that's bad for you. So we're always emulating our friends. I actually have this one friend who used to be very serious, never cracked a joke, and he started hanging out with me and my other friend, and both of us are kind of jokers. We're always laughing, we're always cracking up things, and after a couple of months, he started becoming funny. He started cracking jokes. He was actually hilarious. This different persona or identity of himself came out to survive. So he had to be funny to fit in with the group. And when I look back in my life, because I've always been a joker ever since I was like in school, I was always cracking up the class and everybody's laughing and the teachers getting me in trouble. I noticed a lot of my friends that started hanging out with me ended up being funny as well. So this is a recurring pattern. They had to match my energy and take on particular traits. And this is why parents always say, keep away from that kid. That kid's bad. It's bad influence. Because they know if their kid starts hanging around with this bad audience, they're going to start doing drugs. They're going to start shitting on the front yard or what have you. They're going to start misbehaving. So parents don't want that. They try to keep their kids away from nefarious actors. And here is the big lesson in all of this. Our minds are made to copy, right? We're made to copy. We're made to change so that we can adapt with whatever situation is in front of us. The little baby, when it's born, it's cool crawling for a while. But after a while, it starts looking around, it starts seeing all these giants, all these people walking around, it starts feeling a type of way. It starts saying, okay, it's time for me to learn how to walk. Otherwise, these people might leave me behind or something. It's that pressure, it's that copying, those mirror neurons firing so that we replicate what we see. So in no time at all, the baby starts walking, just like the adults, and then starts talking. No one gives their textbook. It just does it. Our bodies, our brains are made to copy, to copy, to copy, to copy, to change our persona, to change our personality, to split ourselves to adapt to particular situations. And you can use this to your advantage. You can consciously engineer situations that allow you to level up. You see, I've always been interested in business, but for the longest time in the past, I got no progress. I made no progress in business. I didn't make any money. I was trying to figure out shit by myself, and it didn't work until I started surrounding myself with other business people, with people that were making a lot more money than me, people that were making millions and millions of dollars a month. It forced me to step up from that evolutionary pressure. It's the same thing as trying to learn a new language. There's this cool app right now called Duolingo. My girlfriend's always on it, learning Spanish. She's been doing it for years. She's pretty good. But learning a language from an app is never going to be as good as you getting your ass over there to Spain, being stranded with an internet connection, and having to learn the language. The evolutionary pressure to adapt, to evolve, forces you to change who you are, to adapt new skills. It's so powerful. You know, you see someone who's been in a particular country, like let's say my dad, he's been in Africa, for pretty much half his life, most of his life, he grew up in Africa. Thick African accent. He comes over here to Australia, and before you know what's happening, he's picking up some of the slang. He's saying fair dinkum. He's, just doing what the Aussies do. And this is the power of surrounding yourself with the people you want to be like. Consciously do it. Find situations that are out of your comfort zone. You want to be really good at soccer and you have a particular type of skill set, it's good for you to join a team that's a little bit more advanced than what you are now, because that forces you to level up. You want to be the outsider. You want to be the one that's left behind, the one that's coming last, the one that's not smart, just as smart as everyone, the one who can't sing as well as the other people, because that's what's going to force you to level up. That evolutionary pressure, the same mechanism that's forcing the person with DID to create a whole new identity to deal with their trauma, is the same mechanism that's going to force you to bring out new perspectives or new aspects of yourself, or create whole new aspects of yourself to deal with the particular situation in front of you. This is why, fat people don't hang out with skinny people. This is why rich people don't hang out with poor people, because whoever you hang out with is going to change you. It's going to make you uncomfortable. Jim Rohn has the classic quote that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I tend to agree with that, except I think that your different self-images, the different aspects of you, are the average of the different people you hang out with. So it's more than 5, and there's more than one of you. I guess you could say your self-image is the amalgamation of the 14 different aspects of you. So you better hope that those 14 different aspects are heading in a positive direction. That you are only surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like. It's a classic idea in self-improvement. Change your environment, change your friends, and change your life. But it really is possibly the most powerful way to reprogram your subconscious mind, because you won't need to do anything. That evolutionary pressure will do all the work for you. Do this, and I promise you'll be one step closer to living and dying well. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell notifications so we can see more of each other. Until next time.